our first news story, or should I just say topic of the show? We'll see how long this might take up a lot of the show, honestly, but we'll see. Review roundup here for Starfield. That's right, Starfield is now officially out. Reviewers have been playing it for a few weeks now. I've been working on it for came out about a week ago, a couple days ago. So yeah, I just pulled the review roundup here so we can read off some of the the big reviewers, what their thoughts are, but we're going to give our first impressions as well. If you haven't heard them yet, that is because we actually guested on Video Games a Comedy Show, VGACS. Look up that podcast. You can hear our thoughts over there alongside Jeremy and Mikey. That was fun to join them over there. But so if you haven't listened to that yet, then you can stay tuned here in just a minute. But Darren Bonthus over there kind of brought together some of the major reviewers. September 6th was when it released. September 1st was early access by Bethesda Game Studios. Starfield came out to Xbox Series X, S, and PC for $70 or free with Game Pass.
GameSpot, or $100 if you want to play it early.
Yeah, imagine. GameSpot gave it a 7 out of 10. When you strip Starfield down to its essentials, it relies on a tried and true but well-tread formula while missing some of the depth of the games that came before it. Starfield is a game more concerned with quantity than quality and leaves the experience at the surface level. VGC gave it a 5 out of 5. Starfield is undoubtedly an experience that players will stick with for years to come. Its content rich in a way that's rare in modern gaming, exactly the experience that people who've been hoovering up different versions of Skyrim for years have wanted. It doesn't truly reinvent the wheel with its mechanics, but almost everything it does so well that it's truly engrossing experience. Game Informer gave it an 8.5 out of 10. It took me a long time to fall in love with Starfield, and even after I did, certain aspects didn't work for me. But the things I didn't enjoy are vastly outweighed by my enthusiasm for this new, original science fiction universe, the breadth of its adventures, and the appeal of its many interwoven stories. Go in with the expectation that it will take some time to find your footing in such a vast gameplay space, and there's a universe well worth discovering there. IGN gave it a 7 out of 10. Starfield has a lot of forces working against it, but eventually, the allure of its expansive role-playing quest and respectable combat make its gravitational pull difficult to resist. PC Gamer gave it a 75 out of 100. Games Radar with a 5 out of 5. PC Games N gave it a 7 out of 10. So, as you can see, the average is about an 8. 8.5. Because it's either a 10 out of 10 or like a 7. So it's like I feel like the middle is right around the 8 or 8.5. Right.
I'd like to point out that I accurately guessed the Metacritic. By the way, I said it was going to be 87, and it ended up being 87 on the dot.
That was wild when you tweeted that out, because I saw that like the day before. You're like, it's going to be this, and then it came out. You're like, boom, retweet. Here it is. Here's the proof. I did it. That was crazy. So first and foremost, here's a formal statement coming from the top here at SGB Studios. We told you so. We told you so. We never wanted this game to be bad, and we didn't think it was gonna be bad.
And it is not bad.
And it's not bad. Spoilers for our first impressions about to happen in about 1 minute. It's not a bad game, but it's not a 10 out of 10 like everyone tried to tell us, even in the comments.
Bethesda tried to tell us.
Bethesda tried to tell us, and like all the haters in the YouTube comments tried to tell us. There's one comment in particular that, because I think in that one in the conference, you said, you're like, oh, it'll probably be like an 8 out of 10. And someone was commenting, was like, 8 out of 10? That's wild. You guys are crazy.
I need to go find that one and say, hey, bud, how you doing?
I almost want to go back and comment and be like, hey, so about that.
Sounds like you owe us a sub, man.
Yeah, so the Starfield, we told you so. And again, that's not to say this game is bad, but yeah, here's our impression. So Adrian, I don't know if you want to kick us off here. What are your thoughts on Starfield? You've been playing it for a little over a week now.
Okay, so I've got about 13 hours, I believe, 12 to 13 hours in. I just want to say, like I've said before, because apparently the video seems to mute itself when we say this, because people claim they don't hear it when we say this, okay? The game is good.
Yeah.
Okay? It is a good game. No one is saying that it's not a good game, okay?
And to be clear, a 7 out of 10 is good. Like
it's good.
This has more. There's a much bigger discussion around this, but back in the day, 7 out of 10 was a good score. People would be like, "Oh, that's a good game." Nowadays, if it's not an 8 or higher, you know, it's 8 or higher. It's
a
good.
Wait for a sale. Wait for a sale.
Yeah. If it's below, it's trash. And it's like, no, like there's 7 other points below, or below an 8 that, you know, or that are still decent. You know, there's like 3 other points. So, you know, I don't know. Today's review scales are just so jacked up. But anyways, continue.
Well, it's not the review scales. It's the
reviewers.
It's the public's perception of reviews has changed, and that's not. And you know what? Not even that. It's the weirdo console warriors that are like the ones that are so worried about. Oh, it's if it's a 8 out of 10, that means it's a failure. It's a flop. We can make fun of the other side about this. It's like. That's what they care about. They don't care about if it's good or not. They care about, oh, did it score an 8 or lower? Then we can get them with this in our weirdo console war. So having said that, I think that the 7 out of 10 reviews are right in line. I think that they were much nicer than in the way they conveyed my sentiment is like, dude, this game is rough in the beginning. It is a chore to play, and that is one of the biggest sins that a game can commit. I have definitely played my fair share of Bethesda games. I know how a Bethesda game goes. I know the ins and outs. This is, for all intents and purposes, a 100% Bethesda game, but this is probably the slowest one has taken to get going.
Yeah, this is like the most Bethesda game. Like,
right.
And I think that's, for me, like such a gripe of mine. So like, it's that they innovated in so many areas technologically, but didn't bother to innovate in their in the gameplay style. Like, I don't know what, it's hard to explain it specifically without playing it, but like when you play Skyrim, when you play Fallout, like any of these Bethesda games from years past, you play it and you're like, this is a Bethesda game, and you feel it and you know it. And there's like certain things that it feels a certain way, it plays a different way, a certain way. There's like certain menu mechanics that they use and inventory and all this stuff. And it's just the same every game. And so, like, because again, I know people are going to come and be like, they did so much innovation into this, and I get it.
We get it. They did. You can tell from the start that they did.
You can tell, like, the way like gravity is different on each planet. That's really cool. You look up in the sky and you see other planets and galaxies. Like, wow, like the skybox in this game is beautiful. It's like, it's amazing. You go into space, but as far as like the game, the actual hands-on gameplay, I'm like, when I picked it up, I was like, oh, this is Fallout.
Yeah.
With a space skin. Like they didn't bother to upgrade. It's like the same old skeleton with this is different set dressing, I think is what I texted you, Adrian. I was like, same old skeleton, same base bones there, different set dressing. They just like blanketed over Skyrim. And it, for me, is just like, again, and not that that's bad, because I love Fallout, but when this is their first new IP in 25 years, I guess I was excited for what is the new Bethesda? What are they going to bring us? Next gen consoles, new IP. It's made exclusively for Xbox, so they're going to have all this money and time to work on this, and expertise and whatever, the list goes on. And then for them to just bring us same old Bethesda with some added glitz and glamour, but it's still just a Bethesda game. And I will say, the least buggy game I've ever played from Bethesda. Holy smokes!
By a mile.
Like, I actually have not come across any bugs, and I've only seen very few online. I feel like, other than like the weird like people looking at you funny bugs, like you see those online all over the place now. But that I feel like that's just a Bethesda feature at this point. That's every game where the people stare at you like wide-eyed, all crazy.
But that's also another thing, right? Like, I think what we're trying to get at is there have been so many quality of life improvements just across the board standard in games, just the way that games are made, the way that, animations are now, with the way acting is, that the fact that Bethesda hasn't incorporated any of that is really like the biggest disappointment with the game, right? Like, inventory management, it feels exactly like,
it's horrible.
It feels exactly like the old games. Like, they haven't taken note. Like, it's okay to, to take notes and, hey, this is the standard, this is how we do this now. Going through and setting stuff as your favorites, or equipping gear and things of that nature. It's so many like little steps. It hasn't been simplified at all. It feels like, in my opinion,
even just to save the game, it used to just be you hit start and hit save. They've actually
now you got to go start again, save, and then B again to get back to the game.
It's a menu within a menu that you can't just quick enter and quick exit. So I'm like, even that, I'm like, what a wild choice to like make it harder to save your game. Like, that's weird. And granted, you're like, oh, so what? It's like half a second. It's like, yeah, well, that adds up over time. Like, and it's not always half a second. I've had times where I hit the start button and like it doesn't respond right away for some reason. I'm like, okay, that was weird. I hit it again and then it pops up. So it's like, all right, there's 5 seconds I wasted sitting there. So so it's just like weird. Like, what was the thought process? Because that was something they had that was good before that they've actually made worse. And that's nitpicky. Maybe you're going to be like, well, okay, what about down the gameplay stuff? Like, what kind of
gameplay wise, the shooting is the best the combat is the best it's ever been in a Bethesda game by a country mile. Shooting is so much better. I honestly, while it would be nice and nostalgic to have a VAT system back, I really don't think that we need one.
I so many times instinctively kept hitting L1, and it just brings up the scanner, and I'm like, God, dang it! Like,
they could have done a VATS, and they could have instead of Vault, they could have called it Vasco assisted.
Oh yeah, because of the robot. I get it. Yeah, that would have been awesome. Good, but I so many times I'm like, especially because I initially started playing it on my Steam Deck with Game Pass, the game streaming. And so I was like, ooh, it's a little, I didn't have great internet. And so I was kind of like a little frustrated with it. So I'm like, I just need VATS. Like, that would be really handy right now. But then once I got onto my own computer, I'm like, oh, no, it's still like, it's no FPS, but it's much better. Like, once you're on a capable system, not streaming it over the internet, I'm like, okay, yep, no, they've definitely improved here. That was good.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just it's some of it is little things, and then a lot of it is like, really, we didn't want to push this as all. And then my big thing with that is, I think the interactions with characters is woof. Yeah, it's standard fare where when you're going up to a person, like you were just making the comment about, where they're just locked on,
the Bethesda jump scare
at you. Yeah. I've had people like, they would be doing something over here and I'm still having the conversation with them, and they're talking to me, but they're looking this way because something is going on in the building. And I'm like, are we serious right now? Like, Gorilla and they may not have the most exciting NPCs, but at least they make them give the illusion that the person is there having a conversation with you, right? They move their head. They
very human feeling.
Right. They change camera angles. They include body language, and I'm talking about more than just the occasional arm raise or something like this. Like they even spend a little time just mocapping a couple different things. Yeah, they might reuse them, but hey, it's better than what we got where it's just mainly the NPC standing there looking at you.
It's like a close up, like, the camera zooms in on their face and it's just a typical straight shoulders, straight arms, like dead eyes into the camera. It's like, geez,
nobody has every conversation. Like, why don't we walk and talk with anybody? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's what I'm saying. Like, things have evolved as far as like
gaming's changed in the last 25 years, Bethesda.
Yes. The performances are not bad. The performances are good. Yeah. It's just the way that they are displayed with the character models is just, it's so behind the times, I feel like.
Yeah. So I think that that's definitely like our main gripe. I think if you really boil it down, it's just the fact that like there's all this hype about all this innovation, and then to actually play the game and realize like the innovation was in all the wrong places. Like, it innovated a lot of cool technical things, but the main meat and potatoes gameplay didn't really get an upgrade, which is unfortunate because like that's what I care about, you know. Yeah, like all the glitz, all the fancy things, all the sprinkles on top are nice, but it's like, all right,
the Thousand Planets.
If the ice cream tastes like crap, it still tastes like crap, you know. Yeah, and even okay, so yeah, talking about space travel now. Again, and I've heard again, we talked on Video Games a Comedy Show. Mikey was like, keep playing. Apparently it gets better, but in my experience so far, I have not liked space combat. It does not feel good. I've heard with better ships, it starts feeling better. I'm like, okay, you know what? So that's my next goal. Like as soon as I finish the mission I'm currently on, I'm like, I'm going to go and get a new ship because I want to know. I need to know. Does it actually get better? Or is he just convincing himself of that because he bought an Xbox for Starfield?
I mean, I did too.
Yeah, you did too. You bought an Xbox. That's true. You bought an Xbox just for Starfield, and then here we are. But yeah, so space combat doesn't feel good. And then just the traversals through space, the fact that everything is a loading screen and a fast travel. I'm glad it's in there, but I just wish I had the choice to also just fly around. Like, all right, because I think I told Jeremy this. I was like, after about 5 times of traveling on and off planet, I'm sure I'd get sick and tired of it. Depending on how long it took. If it was like a long process, like, all right, I'm just going to fast travel. But at least give me the option. So then like once every 10th time, if I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I want to freaking take off. And
let me take. You want me to be the player? Let me take off. Let me go here. Let me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's like, it's when you jump in the cockpit, you hit the button and it's a cutscene that shows you taking off and zooming into space, and then all of a sudden there's a loading screen, flashes the loading screen, which there's a surprisingly large amount of loading screens in this game for a 2023 game on SSD hard drive, but that's another thing we can talk about. Yeah, and then you're in space, and then to go to another planet, again, you don't just fly there. You can, but that Alana Pierce did a test on her YouTube or her Twitch channel. She streamed it where she flew to Pluto. It took her 7 hours, which Pluto's a long way away. So don't, even if the planet is 2 minutes away.
I don't need to fly for 7 hours, dude. Give me the illusion that it's a long way.
But you fly through like that. Well, I guess what happens is when you fly it towards the planet, like it just disappears.
It's a JPEG.
It's just a JPEG. It's just like an image. In order to land there, you have to still have to bring up the quick travel menu, choose a spot to land, and then again, it's a cutscene, and all of a sudden, like you don't even see the landing happen. You're just kind of like there, right? All right. I haven't done it enough to even remember, but I think there's a little landing cutscene. But again, everything's a cutscene, everything's a loading screen or a menu, and it's like, oh, the whole.
I know people are going to be like, oh, they just wanted to be No Man's Sky. Not necessarily, dude. I didn't ask for it. I wanted it to be its own thing, but I feel like if you want me to get engrossed in the experience, you should have had, like Garrett said, you should have had both options.
Give me the option.
Let me play it like that if I want to, or let me fast travel if I want to.
And don't tell us in the marketing that this is going to be the most expansive space. Like all they like talk this big talk about all this expansive and crazy and in-depth space travel, and then it's 99% of it's in menus. It's like, what is this? I don't understand. Like this is I don't know. Like again, I'm obviously going to use fast travel more than anything else, but again, give me the option. Like
that's all I want.
Don't talk the big talk if that's not what you're actually going to provide. Because my thought was going to be like, oh, okay, they're going to give us the option to do the No Man's Sky thing, and then they didn't even do that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
It's honestly, it's immersion breaking for me. Like I feel like I start to get into it when I'm in the world and I'm doing quests and I'm doing that, and then they go, well, we got to go to another planet, and then I get to the ship, and then the game loads that cutscene and lets me know, hey, you're not actually in control of this. We're just we're taking you off. You know, we're doing this for you. It's like, well. Now I don't really feel like I'm going to space. I feel like I'm being taken there, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a bummer because even though we were like cautiously optimistic before, we had our criticisms, but like we were, like I said, optimistic. We still like were really excited about this game. This is the next big game out of Bethesda, next big game out of Xbox. Was really excited for what it could be. And then for it to be just more the same is, just a bummer. And again, not to say it's a bad game.
No, not at all.
Because that's the thing, like playing it, I'm like, oh, like I'm having.
I can boil it down.
Yeah.
When we say that this is standard Bethesda, that's what I wanted, right? But I wanted 2023's, I wanted Bethesda with 20 years of experience and looking at the industry and tweaking and upgrading. I wanted the 2023 of Bethesda. So I wanted them to take that same formula, push it forward with their style, but use the conveniences and the innovations that we've had in games since then to today. That's the baseline for what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's like, it's a good game that could have been so much better if they just took some of those modern sensibilities and implemented those. But here we are with just a good game that I'm fine with putting on the back burner because it's not great. It's good, but not great. And so I agree with, all those 7 out of 10s. I'm like, yeah, that feels about right. Cause it's like a game eventually I'll get to and I'll play through it and I'll have fun. But right now it's like, I have Armored Core 6, which is like my favorite game. Baldur's Gate 3 also like these two huge games that are like competing in my brain right now. Cause Baldur's Gate 3 has been incredible. Armored Core 6 has been freaking amazing.
We got Mario next month. Pokemon DLC is coming out this week.
So many good
Mortal
games
Kombat is coming out next week.
That are great games. And it's like, I don't have time for just this good game right now. And it's one of those like, well, yeah, in a little bit I'll get back to it. So
I fully intend to play it to completion at some point. I want to make that clear. But yeah, like I said, it's so much. I got Sea of Stars out right now.
Yeah,
I got Bomb Rush Cyberpunk I'm trying to play through. So my plate's pretty full, and I know I like those games a lot.
Yeah. And the other thing too with Starfield is like, I think you mentioned before the show, like in 6 months or whatever, a year, like this game, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of tweaks and changes, just like most modern games nowadays. Like they might fix a lot of these quality of life things. And something that I'm looking forward to is the Bethesda mods, baby. Well, the mods, but then also like Fallout. I love the DLC, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, like all of them had incredible DLC packs that you could buy, like add-on missions and stuff. And so I am stoked for like, okay, Bethesda, like what's your DLC going to be for this game? Because I always loved the DLC from the Fallout game. So I really hope we see like some cool like spin-off missions and stuff as well that are like themed on different areas and stuff. And
I'm sure we will.
So like I'm excited for this game in about a year when, all the quality of life changes have been fixed. All any bugs have been worked out. And then there's maybe like 1 or 2 DLC packs already where it's like, all right, I can dive in and get some cool, whatever armor from some crazy planet it's added or something.
And then on top of that, whatever they don't fix, there'll be a mod for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Give the modders 6 months. I mean, it didn't take long.
There's already mods today.
Yeah, there's an article from IGN 16 hours ago where Starfield modders are turning Bethesda's space RPG into a Star Wars game. There's already like Stormtrooper models and they're working on putting like the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that in. So like they're turning it into a Star Wars game. I'm like, I'm in. I'll play this game with Star Wars.
It's gonna be rad. Oh,
so good.
But yes, at the end of the day, because I know people are going to just zoom through this and find the stuff that they disagree with. Again, to end it all off, Starfield is not a bad game. It is not a bad game by any means. It is a good game. We think it is a good game. We don't think it's a great game. It could be a great game in time, but as of right now, it is not a great game. It is a good game. Okay? All right?
Yep. Everyone
Weirdo
understands.
Fanboys? Are we all on the same page here?
Are we all cool?
Want to make sure.
Can we be cool? Everyone be cool.
All right.
Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.